The gap between the BAH on your LES and the reality on the ground is it enough to buy here. What about property taxes? Will the utilities in Texas summers wipe us out? We had all those questions. And after talking to dozens of military families stationed at Fort Hood, from brand new E4s to seasoned O5s, and after living it ourselves, I wanted to build a guide I wish we had. This isn't about flashy financial advice. It's about a humble, real look at the cost of building a life in Central Texas on a military paycheck. My name is Matt Dick, and I've lived here in Central Texas for over 13 years. My team and I absolutely love helping people make that transition. Whether that's in 9 days or 90 days, we'd love to help you out. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything about living in Central Texas, then hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time we drop a new video. And hit that like button. It kind of helps us out a little bit. All of our contact info is down below in the description or here at the bottom of the screen. And let us help you make that smooth move here into Central Texas. When we're talking Central Texas, we're talking about Killeen, Harker Heights, Coppers Cove, Temple, Belton, and even the outskirts of places like Georgetown and Round Rock. Offers a unique lifestyle. Understanding your cost of living here isn't just about comparing your BAH to a rent price you see online. It's a puzzle with 4 big pieces that all interlock. Number 1, your BAH. Number 2, the local home price, whether you're renting or buying. The often underestimated utility costs at number 3, and the legendary Texas property taxes. Miss one piece and your budget can be in for a real shock. Today, we're going to break down each of these pieces in detail. Let's start with your foundation. Basic allowance for housing. Fort Hood, the BAH rates are designed to cover on average 95% of your rental costs and renter's insurance. I want to stress on average and rental costs. It's critical starting point. Now, according to the data, a couple of key trends stand out. First, BAH has seen steady increases over the past few years, which is good news. For example, looking at the 2024 to 2026 rates for a Sergeant E5 with dependents, it's gone from about $1,401 to a projected $1,695. That's a significant jump to help keep pace with the market. Second, there's a notable difference between with and without dependents. For 2026, the data shows soldiers with dependents receive about 15.3% more BAH. Third, Fort Hood's BAH is often ranked in the middle to lower end compared to all Army bases. We're not dealing with San Francisco or Washington, D.C. rates here, which sets the tone for the local market. Let's put some real ranks to it so you can find your starting line. Junior enlisted, private to specialist, E1 to E4 with dependents. For 2026, the rate is projected at $1,662. This is your target budget for rent and renter's insurance. For a single E4, it drops to about $1,440. The difference dictates whether you're looking at a 2-bedroom apartment or a 3-bedroom house. Mid-grade enlisted, sergeant to staff sergeant, E5 to E6, a sergeant with dependents is about $1,695, and a staff sergeant is looking at $1,920 for 2026. This bracket often has the most flexibility, and you're able to comfortably rent a nice home or seriously consider buying. Senior enlisted, E8, E9, warrant officer ranks. A sergeant major or a chief warrant officer 3 with dependents is in the $2,346 to $2,400 range. This opens up more options for buying in higher demand school districts or newer developments. Officers, a typical 03 with dependents is at $2,340, and 05 Lieutenant Colonel is at $2,748. At this level, BH often covers the full PITI or principal, interest, taxes, insurance on a substantial home. The immediate question is, does this cover a suitable home here? The short answer is generally yes for renting, but your strategy changes completely if you're considering buying, which is where your BH becomes a powerful tool for a mortgage lender. Remember, BAH is tax-free, which increases its purchasing power compared to the equivalent civilian salary. Now, let's talk about the housing market. Rent versus buy. This is where the rubber meets the road. Central Texas is a mix of military-centric towns and rapidly growing suburban areas. According to recent data, the average home value in Texas is around $297,000. But average is tricky and can be misleading. Let's get hyper-local. Killeen, Copper's Cove, the most budget-friendly and is military saturated. You can find a 3-bedroom home from the 220,000s to the 280,000s. Rentals are plentiful with many 3-bedroom houses in the $1,400 to $1,700 range. The trade-off can be older housing stock, think 1970s to say 1990s, and more variable neighborhood quality. Harker Heights, a step up in perceived quality and consistency. Homes often range from the 270s to the 350s. It's a popular choice for families, so rental competition can be stiffer, but you'll find well-kept properties. Belton and Temple offers a more traditional Texas town feel with growing amenities. Belton, with a highly rated schools, commands a premium with many homes in the 300s to 400s. Temple is more mixed with a good value but requires careful research on location. Georgetown and North Round Rock, this is the Austin Metro spillover. You're paying for top tier schools, new developments, and proximity to more jobs. Homes frequently start in the 350s and go up quickly. Let's translate BH into the housing market with concrete examples. A staff sergeant renting with a $1,920 BH, you could secure a modern 3-bedroom, 2-bath rental in Harker Heights for $1,800, leaving a small buffer for renters insurance. You're living comfortably with your allowance. Buying as a captain with a $2,340 BH using a VA loan on a $350,000 home with a 6% interest rate, your principal and interest might be $1,850, add $575 for taxes at 2.3% and $100 for insurance, and your total PITI is $2,525. That's about $185 over your BAH, requiring a small out-of-pocket contribution each month for the mortgage itself. But, and this is a massive but, your mortgage payment, your PITI, is still not your full housing cost. This is the critical mistake. That's $2,525 payment is just the beginning, which leads us to the two biggest budget wildcards in Texas. The Texas-sized wildcards are utilities and property taxes. If BH and mortgage are the plan, utilities and taxes are the reality check. We have to talk about these separately because they can make or break your budget. First, utilities. Texas is a world of its own here. A comprehensive guide from Texas moving experts break it down well. First, electricity. We have a deregulated market, which means you choose your provider. This can be great for savings, but it's confusing. rates are per kilowatt hour. In summer, with air conditioner running 24/7 against 100-degree heat at 2,500 square feet, homes can easily use 2,000 plus kilowatt hours. At an average rate of 15 cents per kilowatt hour, that's a $300 plus a month bill. Older homes with poor insulation can be far worse. Budgeting an average of $200 to $300 a month year-round is safe, if not a sobering estimate. Pro tip, look at plans with free nights and weekends. If you can shift laundry and dishwashing to off-peak times, you'd save a bundle. Water, sewer, and trash is bundled in city limits. You might pay $70 to $100. In a municipal utility district or MUD, in a newer subdivision, it can be higher, sometimes $100 to $150, as you're paying off the infrastructure bonds for the new development. Natural gas is kind of hit or miss in Central Texas, but it could be used for heating, cooking, water heaters. I would say a more stable estimate, maybe $30 to $80, depending on the season. Internet is a necessity. A plan for, I don't know, $70 to $150 for decent speeds. Some new neighborhoods may have fiber optic options. You'll just have to look into that. Altogether, for a single family home, utilities can easily add up to $400 to $700 to your monthly budget. This is money outside of your BH. When renting, always ask the landlord or current tenant for copies of the average utility bills. Now let's talk about property taxes. Texas has no state income tax, which is fantastic, but we make up for it with some of the highest property taxes in the nation. Bell County, Killeen, Harker Heights, Belton, Temple, combined rates often hover, I would say, around between 2.3 to 2.5. Williamson County, Georgetown, and Round Rock can range from 2.1 to over 2.7 depending on the exact city. On that home in Harker Heights, a 2.4 tax rate means $8,400 per year or $700 per month in just taxes. This is typically included in your monthly mortgage escrow payment. So let's bring it all together. What's the real cost of living in Central Texas for military families? It's understanding that your BAH is a strong starting point, especially for renting. It's recognizing that buying a home is very possible here with a VA loan, and your BAH can cover the mortgage. But it's also respecting the power of the other factors, the $400 plus for utilities and the $500 plus for property taxes. On the average home, your total housing cost is BAH plus that significant utility bill, or it's a mortgage payment that already includes taxes and insurance plus utilities on top. The beauty and the challenge of Central Texas is choice. There's no single right answer, but I hope this breakdown gives you the clarity to ask the right questions. If this deep dive was helpful, please give the video a thumbs up. It really helps this channel reach other military families who are searching for the same honest answers. Subscribe if you want more content like this, and most importantly, drop a comment below. What's your biggest question about moving to Central Texas? If you're PCSing to Fort Hood and want a list of homes available, reach out and I'd be happy to help. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay informed, and we'll see you on the next one.